No one's slick as Gaston, no one's quick as Gaston, no one's next as incredibly thick as Gaston, for there's no man in town half as manly. Perfect, the pure paragon.
I was waiting to see which song that was, but that was clearly Gaston from Beauty and the Beast, which I like, because I played Gaston for the Cincinnati Children's Theater a couple of different occasions. Hey, I'm excited to be here tonight, first of all. One of the reasons that I'm a little nervous about being here, however, is I was looking through the brochure, and you've got all these wonderful speakers who were going to talk about leadership and overcoming failures and finding success and climbing mountains and doing all these things, and you got these great quotes in the brochure, and then I'm all like, I'm going to show you how I do makeup on the Facebooks. Which seems like an interesting contrast, but I swear it all makes sense, and there's maybe a deeper meaning to all that as well. Know what that was? So it's sort of appropriate that we're in an elementary school, because for me and in what I do, oddly enough, it sort of starts here. It actually starts almost in a space just like this. A much older quasi-auditorium gymnasium thing at John Foster Dulles over on the west side of Cincinnati, Green Township specifically, for those keeping track. You see, in the third grade, something very, very important happened to me. So if you take nothing else away from what I'm about to talk about up here, take this with you. What happens in elementary school can set a person on a path. They may not realize it right away, but it may open a door, it may reveal a path to them that they didn't know was out there before. And maybe years later they realize, wow, if I look back, that was the moment. And for me, that moment was when I quite unwillingly and quite unknowingly was cast in the third grade Christmas play in a very important role. Perhaps the most important role I have ever had in my life. Speaker number one. I had to walk out on that stage with two friends. Actually, they were both girls, and at the time, third grade, boys, girls, we didn't want much to do with each other. But I stood out there, and I looked out amongst all the parents and the grandparents and the unwilling siblings sitting in folding chairs. And I said, that wassail sure was good. To this day, I don't know what wassail is. I'm not sure if I pronounce wassail correctly, even to this day. But there was something about that moment where if I think about that singular moment in time, something was planted within me that made me realize that I liked telling stories. I enjoyed it very much. And I was a shy kid, a crazy shy kid. But I liked doing that. And since then, that storytelling has led me to a lot of different places and telling stories in a lot of different ways, whether it's up on a stage, whether it's behind a microphone and on a radio, or whether it's on television. There are some attributes that I first found, some moments that I fell in love with on a stage just like this, that to this day I still employ in some ways. Just sort of interesting. But telling stories today has gotten a little bit more difficult. It's gotten harder to connect with people, right? Because we all have one of these, right? Anybody tweet so far tonight? Anybody Facebook? Snapchat? Filter? Right? Bunny ears. We've got all these new ways to connect, and yet we've never been more disconnected. Alexa knows all about us. Google knows all about us. Goodness knows Facebook knows all about us. Apparently, Russians know all about us. But we don't know our neighbors as well. Right? I'm not sure we know our friends as well, except for the ones who we post our vacation pictures so they maybe look a little bit jealous about what we're doing out there. And so finding a way to cut through that, or to find a way through all that to connect with people, has become more difficult, but all the more important, because our trust in a lot of ways in institutions has gone way down. Things that we never doubted before, that we always trusted before, we don't trust so much now. At least we don't trust it when it says something opposite of the way that we believe. Right? If it's a website that we've never heard of, but the headline is something that we think, boy, we'll share that bad boy right now. right? But it's important to know who the person is who put that out there. And so connecting with people remains hugely important. And so that's why, believe it or not, that's why this has deeper meaning. Because in my job, I feel like in this day and age, perhaps more than ever, for my job to have meaning and for me to be successful at my job, people have to know who I am. Those walls that maybe used to be there, I am Anchorman, eyebrow, blue steel, go. I don't think that works anymore. I don't think that translates to people quite as well as perhaps it once did. Sometimes you'll hear people say, well, Edward R. Murrow would never have done that. Walter would never have done that. Right? If you're around here, Al Shuttlecutty never would have done that. Well, here's the thing. I'm going to be on TV for 5.5 hours by 10 a.m. tomorrow. Back then, they were on for like a half an hour in a day. And so I have to find a way to connect with people in a way that makes them know who I am. And guess what? I'm kind of goofy. I'm a little different, and I think that's okay. Because nobody's serious all the time. And so for people to know you, especially in my job, is a way that I hope people can begin to trust me and believe that if I'm taking the time to tell them a story on TV, if I'm telling it to them, I'm telling them the truth. And if I ever would find out that I wasn't, I would immediately correct it. Because that's who I am. You see, part of my job is I have to get up under these really bright lights, like right here. And a consultant once told me, Bob, you're both sweaty and pasty. And people don't like to watch sweaty and pasty people on TV, so you have to put on some powder. And if you want to, maybe hit the cheeks with some bronzer, why don't you? Then, my God, man, look at your eyes. The circles go all the way down to your cheekbones. So they taught me how to put on makeup. So at the beginning of this year, January 1, I decided I would start every day I was going to make a video. Every day to kick off the day with nothing more than let's get up, let's go get them, let's have a great day, everybody, let's go, let's conquer the world, woo, woo. All right? And so for me, that's going to happen at about 4:25 a.m. Ridiculous, right? Like stupid early. And so for that time for me, that's about when I had to put on my studio makeup, and most people would be watching that when they wake up. Hence, wake up and makeup, it rhymes. When you're on my business, things that rhyme or have alliteration, boom, we'll run with that all day. Now, I didn't actually do my makeup in the first few videos. I just called it that for funsies. And then one day, I decided I would do like a makeup tutorial. Like people do on the Instagram and whatnot. Right? As a joke, I don't know what I'm doing. About 37 million views later, I will now for the rest of my life be known as the makeup guy. Or maybe the dancing guy, depending. But the point is this. It's just a way for me to reach other people. Because we have to start connecting with people again. We have to find a way to know people again. And not just because we've seen their vacation pictures, and not just because they shared a bunch of links that we agree with. We've got to get to know our neighbors, and we've got to get to know the people that we, I think, come to for what I put out there every morning. You got to know those people. And so that's what I do. Whether it's putting on my makeup or anything else. What you see is what you get. And that's sort of all there is to it. My shot clock is out. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you. I wish I could stay and hear the other speakers, but I'm parked in the spot of the building inspector. So I think I have to go soon. I'm going to leave my microphone up here. Thanks again, everybody.